Firefox, everyone's favorite underdog web browser. And operating system? For a brief time in the mid-2010s, yes. And today, we're going to install this ill-fated OS on a period-correct and slightly spicy Samsung Galaxy Tab 4. So stay tuned. And if you think that e-waste is a terrible waste of perfectly good and still usable technology, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. The year was 2013, and Firefox, the web browser, was taking a real beating in the browser market to this newfangled Chrome thing. Mozilla needed all hands on deck to stem the unrelenting bleed of market share, which is why it was the perfect time to release a whole entire mobile operating system. Firefox OS came into a world of mobile operating systems that still had some diversity. BlackBerry, Tizen from Samsung, Sailfish OS, and may it rest in peace, Windows Phone. Firefox OS was built on the Gecko rendering engine from the Firefox browser, running on top of the Linux kernel, sort of like booting your device to a full-screen web browser. In fact, the codename for the project was Boot to Gecko. Anyway, although Firefox OS was discontinued in 2014, it's not totally dead. A fork of it still lives on in KaiOS, which itself is a pretty interesting OS for low-spec mobile devices. But today, we're going to run the original Firefox OS in all of its ill-fated glory, find out what it was like to use, but first we have to render this thing safe because it might explode. Yeah, so you can definitely see how this thing is kind of bulging in the middle. I mean, it's very obvious if you feel it in person, but if you look at the screen at just the right angle, you can see where the battery bulging is actually pressing up against the LCD. I'm hoping that'll go away once we pop this old battery out, which, well, according to the internet, is extremely easy to do. This kit that I got for 16 bucks on Amazon comes with the tools we need to get into this Galaxy. And of course it has a new battery of who knows what kind of quality, we'll find out. Come on, you jerk. Aha! Yeah, look at that swollen battery. And it does look like it has relieved the pressure on the screen. Excellent. Put our not Samsung battery in here. Yeah, well, hilariously, the cable does not reach. And jump cut to several days later, and I have a new battery. And yes, this one does fit. Alright, e-waste tablet, you shall live again for weird shenanigans. So the way we're going to run Firefox OS on here is actually pretty interesting. Right now this Galaxy Tab is running Android 4.4.2 KitKat, and we don't have to remove that because someone at Mozilla had an interesting idea. In order to woo people over to the side of the Fox, they released a version of Firefox OS, which is actually just an APK that you can install over top of Android. So let me dig up a desktop computer. Now that's convenient. And archive.org has a backup of, well, pretty much everything to do with Firefox OS. So we can download the final version of the Android package, and then I'm just going to stick it right onto an SD card that we can stick into the tablet. Mighty convenient that the Ubuntu iMac has a built-in SD card slot in the back. Alright, I'm just going to stick the SD card in, and I haven't actually read too much about exactly how this install works. I assume we just run that APK file. So my files. SD card, Firefox OS, app installed. All right. Well, look at this. Now the home button wants me to choose between Samsung's TouchWiz or Firefox OS Developer. And yeah, that's what we want. Oh, look at this. Firefox OS. Boy, that's blurry. Now I'm prepared for this to feel sluggish because we are running this, I guess, as a environment over top of full Android. Fox Food Community Edition. What does that mean? What is this, like the opening credits to a movie or something? All right, wow, this is tiny. Welcome to the Firefox OS developer preview, an experimental Android app from Mozilla that lets you experience Firefox OS. I think it's a little bit late for that. Oh, here we are. Firefox OS. Ooh. Oh, that's a little unsettling. I'm not gonna lie. All right, we have gigantic icons with tiny text. Interesting. Okay, swipe left and right to get to stuff. Pinned pages. Okay, so what do we have in here? Phone, messages, contacts, email, browser, which I assume is just Firefox. Yeah, a whole bunch of default apps. Google settings, a YouTube app, Google Plus Photos. This is just all the apps from the Android side, I guess, plus default Firefox OS apps. Let's see what phone does. Obviously, we're on a tablet, so can't dial anything. Messages, again, this is meant for a phone. Let's see what the web browser is. Surprise, surprise, probably Firefox. Oh, look at this big old keyboard. Does not seem to want to load Google. Well, this keyboard is very weird. Frogfind.com. Will you load my search engine? You will, okay. And Firefox OS has crashed. By the way, if you'd like to support the channel and you have the means, I do have a Patreon at patreon.com/actionretro. Link down in the description below. The generous support of patrons and channel members helps me rescue e-waste and slowly fill my house with it. Let's check out some of these other applications here. We have a music app. Want songs on a memory card. The back button doesn't seem to want to do anything. Video, probably the same. Go to camera. Now it wants to go in landscape mode. Okay. Taking some fun video with Firefox OS. Of course we'll save it. Interesting, I saved the video and it doesn't show up in the list here. I guess that video has gone off into the ether. Alright, Marketplace. I'm sure this doesn't exist anymore. My device clock appears to be set incorrectly. Okay, I fixed the clock and now it is loading. Alright, well apparently there's nothing in Marketplace anymore. What kind of settings do we have? Ooh, look at these cool Firefox wallpapers. Neat. Alright. Dare we try the YouTube app? I suppose we must. It wants me to install a new version of YouTube from Google Play. Well, that's not going to work. But I'm going to pretend it will. Oh yeah, just opening play.google.com in the built-in Firefox. Let's see if we can pin this. Oh, there we go, pin. These fonts are really small. All right, let's go to my favorite band's website here. The stopbits. Come on, keyboard. I think the keyboard's a little laggy here. .net. Oh yeah, look at this cool website. We'll pin this as well. Look, there's our freshly pinned pages. Oh, Firefox OS is now relaunching itself. Oh, look at that glorious background. Now, as you might imagine, the Firefox OS Marketplace is long gone, but the Internet Archive never forgets. Additionally, someone has uploaded an entire capture of the Marketplace from March 2018 at a whopping 27.3 gigabytes, and you know I've downloaded that whole frickin' thing. So here is more or less what the Firefox Marketplace looked like in August of 2016. And yeah, not very interesting, not very appealing actually. Got some games, 2048, of course, everyone's favorite. And oh no, content not found. All right, I've plugged the address from Wayback Machine into the built-in browser in Firefox OS, and interestingly, it does seem to understand that we're on a Firefox OS device. So this must be the marketplace experience in device. The categories are here, but unlike doing it through desktop Wayback Machine, well, there is no software showing up, and Firefox OS crashed again. And inside that gigantic zip file I downloaded, as you might imagine, there's a ton of stuff, including what appears to be an archive of all of the software for Firefox OS, I guess ever. There is quite a lot in here, and I don't totally know how to get from these folders onto the device, but we do have screenshots of all of this interesting software, kind of Palm OS quality software, but this is all written in HTML5 and CSS and JavaScript. Is there a Giants game today? Yes. Here's Buggy Fighter, Penguin Pop, everyone's favorite game. This penguin looks mildly disturbed. Alright, well, I've been futzing around with this for quite a while, trying to install the Firefox OS simulator on extremely old versions of Firefox and trying to get it to sync up to this device and sideload apps onto it. All to no avail. I suppose I'll never know the joy of Penguin Pop. But if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more weird crap like this, please subscribe down below, and thank you very much for watching. And a special thanks to Alex Hoffman, Alex the Rat, Andrew Nicholson, April White, Chris Biggs, Chris Calderon, Chris Nelson, Control-Alt-Reese, Darren Johnstone, Dave's Garage, Drew Hamlin, Eduardo Fonseca, 3 Hours 9, Frodo Jedi, Gaspar Heller, George Rojansky, Graham, Greg from Rutk Mods, Harris Brody, JS, James Fryman, James Laurie, Jason Pepas, Camille Rakowski, Lyle Truid, Matthew Crowell, Nick Daniels, Oh It's Just Jose, Paul Spencer, Ryan, Scott Cedarbaum, Scott Thompson, Steve Sullivan, Tom Woodfin, Unknown Soldier 41, Veronica Explains, and Xantronics Industrial, who are my highest tiered patrons and all of my Patreon supporters for helping to make these videos possible.